I have fantasized about a Metro VR game for more than a decade, and it's never been difficult to imagine how the series would translate. Metro's classic diegetic design is already halfway there. Objectives and maps are on clipboards, batteries are powered by a handheld charger, your visibility and filters remaining time are displayed on your wrist. In all those ways and more, Metro's design seems like a natural fit for VR. There are other attempts at a Metro-style VR shooter out there, perhaps the most well-known being Into the Radius, which is a game I've had a ton of fun with. And even if Into the Radius is more inspired by Stalker, the same principles apply. Damn near everything in Into the Radius exists as its own entity, from your map to individual magazines and even individual bullets. So how granular should a Metro VR game be? And how would it take advantage of the medium's versatility? After finishing Metro Awakening, these are questions that, in some instances, I'm still left to speculate. While undoubtedly drenched in the aesthetics, tone, and spirit of the Metro games, Awakening isn't the type of VR Metro game I was hoping for. Published and developed by Vertigo Games, Awakening takes place in 2028, 5 years before Metro 2033, the first series entry. You are Serdar, who fans of Metro will know as Khan. Awakening tracks Khan's journey from a rigid skeptic to the eccentric man we know in the later Metro games, and why, by then, he goes by the name Khan. A sort of esoteric Obi-Wan Kenobi, Khan aids Artyom in his journey, appearing to have a deeper understanding of the Metro's paranormal and spiritual sides. How Khan gains that knowledge is an arc that makes for an interesting and somewhat bizarre origin story, written by none other than Dmitry Glukhovsky, author of the original Metro novel series. Among other things, Metro has always been about the dangers of xenophobia and authoritarianism, but despite its post-apocalyptic setting, I've always thought Metro has had an optimistic view of humanity. This is displayed in the different ways the people of the Metro survive, using little things like music and good company to stave off despair. Metro has not always been elegant, nor has it always been mature, but its belief in the human spirit is something I've always admired. This optimism carries over to Awakening. It is a love story about Khan's relationship with his wife and the bonds we form with other people. There is some engaging dialogue, powered by great performances, and the narrative goes in unexpected directions, but it also tends to drag, and I think it gets a little muddled here and there. Writing a character realistically reacting to paranormal horror is tricky, and I think Awakening belabors Khan's skepticism and his transition into a person with a greater understanding. While not a complete departure from the Metro series, Awakening places most of its focus on that story, leaving behind some of the deeper survival and combat mechanics the series is known for. The prerequisites are still here. You've got a gas mask you'll need to put on when traversing toxic areas. Khan's head-mounted flashlight is charged with a handheld charger, and your inventory is shown on Khan's backpack. If you want to see how much ammo is left in a magazine, you'll have to check it manually. Likewise, the status of your filter and your visibility remain right where they've always been. Awakening clips a lot from Half-Life Alyx, both big and small. Khan walks at about the same speed as Alyx, though you're given a short sprint that's particularly useful in combat. You pull items to your hands by pointing your palm at them and closing your fingers, their orange outlines turning white when you have them targeted. Doors open and move just like they do in Alyx. It's actually eerily similar. When your head clips into some place it shouldn't be, the screen turns orange, also just like Alyx. Using Alyx as a foundation is great, and Awakening mostly feels good to play. Weapon ergonomics are comfortable, and considering how many objects Artyom carries in the mainline games, I'm sure it wasn't easy to figure out where to place everything on Khan. As a right-handed person, your backpack is located on your left shoulder, and a weapon bag is over your right. And for both, you'll use your left hand. Your right hand grabs grenades over your left shoulder, and your currently equipped main weapon over your right. Your pistol is located at your right side, grabbed with your right hand, and a health vial is on your left, used by injecting into your body or hand. Magazines are located at your chest, though you can change that to your hip in the options menu, and as in Alyx, ammunition is contextual. If you're holding Khan's pistol, you'll grab a pistol mag. If you're holding his AK, you'll grab an AK mag. What I expect some people may not like is constantly grabbing the charger from your backpack to power your flashlight, as there's no quick grab for this. The charger sits on the backpack's left side, which means you'll have to reach across your body with your right hand to grab it, or twist the backpack around with your left hand every time the flashlight needs charging. And once you've unlocked multiple long guns, you'll have to grab the weapon bag to swap between them, which isn't always smooth in the moment. Still, Awakening's controls largely work seamlessly and control pretty smoothly. Opening doors and containers and turning valves feels great. Accessibility options include vignettes, snap turning, teleportation, and an arachnophobia mode that removes spiders from the game. While Awakening has stealth and survival horror elements, it is much more linear and story-centric, and as a linear, story-centric shooter with stealth and survival horror elements, it's fine. I don't think it takes particular advantage of VR, nor the series' famous immersion. Tension often builds to a brief jump scare or nothing at all, fizzling out after a few minutes of walking through dark hallways. And it is a very dark game, probably too dark. Nearly the entire game takes place in the metro, and you don't get to explore the surface as much as you do in the mainline games. So you're constantly having to charge your flashlight, partly because you just need to see where you're going. There is a brightness slider in the options, but I'm not sure how much it actually helps. This is most severe while you're sneaking past enemies. Awakening stealth is rudimentary but functional. Stay crouched, move slowly, keep to the shadows and away from enemies, and you'll be fine. Get too close to an enemy or stray into light, and they'll spot you. You can throw objects like cans and bottles to create distractions and knock enemies out with a punch to the head, just as long as they don't have helmets on. But unlike other Metro games, Con doesn't get night vision, and enemies will spot your flashlight if it's on. This means you'll have to navigate through darkness if you want to sneak past enemies or fiddle with the brightness settings. Luckily, Awakening also drops Metro's morality system, and there's only one ending, which means you're free to shoot through enemies without worry. Stealth works, but it's not all that fun or rewarding. Your crossbow is a quiet weapon, and eventually you'll get a silent pistol, but it's easier and more exciting to just shoot your way through bad guys. And again, combat works fine. Awakening alternates between firefights with humans and shooting mutants before they get close enough to claw you. But even later in Awakening, as you acquire more weapons, combat doesn't evolve or become much more dynamic. I don't think Awakening is necessarily a bad game. By its own merits, I think it's fine. It's more that what Awakening is, I don't think is very exciting, nor is it the VR Metro experience I've always fantasized about. The mainline Metro games are more dynamic, have more interesting level design, and are just as packed with dialogue and story. Each game, 2033, Last Light, and Exodus, has this great progression you go through with Artyom. You start with makeshift weapons, and through exploration and scavenging, your arsenal improves, shaped by your playstyle. You begin 2033 with basic gear, and a few hours later, you may find yourself equipped with night vision goggles and weapons with suppressors, lasers, and larger magazines. What weapons you carry and how you use them is a tactical and economic choice, based on whether you prefer firefights or stealth, and what you can afford. It's not that Metro invented scavenging and weapon upgrades, but the series always did it well and made that progression fun and satisfying. There is no economy in Awakening and no weapon upgrades. Once you find the AK, that's the AK you'll have until the credits roll, and it's the same for the crossbow and shotgun. By flattening enemy encounters and lacking weapon customization, the tactical choices that come with those things are now either absent or much shallower. Within the context of what Awakening is, this design choice is appropriate, but it's a letdown considering how potent those systems are in the other Metro games. Likewise, Awakening has a hardcore difficulty, but it feels more or less like a standard hard mode. Metro's Ranger mode gives the game's new dynamics and makes its survival elements more robust. Awakening doesn't have a Ranger mode, which, again, is appropriate considering what kind of game it is, but disappointing because Ranger mode seems like a perfect fit for VR. Despite the Alyx inspiration, Awakening's environments aren't as interactable. Turning over boxes and looking through shelves is fun in Alyx. Awakening has lockers and other containers you'll want to keep an eye out for, but it doesn't lend the same satisfaction as breaking open boxes or ransacking rooms to find extra ammo. It is not survival and scavenging as much as it is opening containers you find along your path. There is an undeniable vision in Awakening. It is a game that knows what it is from the start and sticks to it, and I respect that. I was genuinely interested in Khan's story and how it relates to the original Metro trilogy. At the same time, I felt a similar sense of frustration that I've often felt with big VR releases. Many of my favorite VR games are games from smaller developers with fewer resources and without access to famous IP, doing their best to wrangle ambitious ideas. But bigger VR releases seem to have trouble trouble developing toward VR's strengths. I've speculated about why this is before, and it's a topic I'll probably return to one day. For now, Awakening provides some thrills and chills, but it leaves a bigger, better, and more immersive VR Metro experience on the table.